Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here for an early look breakdown of the Week 4 NFL main slate here on Draftkings. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. I do want to say thank you guys again for all support. Seriously, guys, on YouTube, on Twitter, in the live streams. If you guys checked out the live stream with me and Connor on Sunday, we actually streamed over on Twitch. We had over 500 of you concurrent viewers. That was great. Thank you guys again for all the support. Seriously. But yeah, the easiest way to support me, guys, with all the content being free is just leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. Also, spread the word. If you have friends that play DFS and you enjoy the content, you're making some money, spread the word. I do also, I just made an Instagram. That will also be in the description below. I would appreciate you guys giving me a follow over there. I'll be posting some stuff, probably doing some giveaways over there as well. But yeah, with that all out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we talk about players and their prices for the Week 4 main slate, let's take a look at my lineup and see how it did last week. So last week, as you guys can see, I won a majority of my head-to-heads. Just missed in my GPPs, so it was about a break-even day for me. Not amazing, but not bad. So let's go over my lineup here. Scored 134.5 points. It's mine on the left-hand side here. I just had to click it because I guess that's the head-to-head. It brings up the other guy's lineup too. But yeah, my lineups here on the left went with Kyler Murray, Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, a Bird, Thomas, Drake, and the Giants D. So Giants D, unfortunate there, -2 fantasy points. The reason I got to them, and a decent amount of people got to them as well, was going up against the back quarterback. San Francisco was really depleted. So yeah, it didn't work out for me, but I'm fine. Taking a cheaper defense there. The running back situation, it was a little bit tricky. There's a lot of guys I was considering. I went with the chalk in Sanders and Drake. Drake, I don't regret it at all. It was a great match there against Detroit. The one concern really is that Kyler Murray is keeping himself a lot, but the price point matchup was great. Not like I don't really regret the play there. Don't regret Miles Sanders either. Like he was solid. He was amazing in his touches. He just didn't get like a whole lot of touches. So yeah, and then I want to spend up Ezekiel Elliott. I want to get a little bit different. I knew Jonathan Taylor was going to be the chalk. I was fine. It was a little bit scary fading him in, with them being big favorites with the Jets, but I did. I want Zeke. Other running backs I mentioned, that mid 6K range. I talked about Eckler. He went off. James Conner, and then Rex Burkhead for Valley did really, really well. But these are three running backs I stuck with. 2 of the 3 being really, really popular. I told you guys, I wanted just a lot of exposure to the Dallas-Seattle game. Again, not contrary take at all. Amari Cooper was solid for 17 fantasy points. Lockett went absolutely crazy, but he was chalk. So, and then Demarie Bird got a little bit unlucky there. The Patriots did get off to a huge lead, and they just pounded the rock in the second half. That's what I was worried about with New England. Like I said, if they play from ahead, they are a really, really slow team. Logan Thomas or Valley, I told you guys I was going there. The targets were there. He had an okay day. I still think a breakout game from him is coming. So that's really the look back there for me. Again, won a majority of my head-to-heads. Just missed in the GPP. So overall, it was about a break-even day for me. Hopefully you guys had a good week as well. And let's talk about this. Well, I should probably go over to football now so we can go over some of these spreads. Let's talk about Week 4. So we'll go over these the over-unders and spreads really quick. I'm really excited for Chiefs-Ravens tonight. But yeah, Broncos-Jets, that's the Thursday night game. That one should be ugly. Here, now we get to the main slate. Cardinals-Panthers is a 52 over-under. Cardinals are 4-point favorites. Browns-Cowboys is a 55.5 over-under. Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites. Colts-Bears, 45 over-under. Colts are 3-point favorites. Jags-Bengals is a 48 over-under. Bengals are 3-point favorites. Chargers-Bucks is a 45 over-under. Bucks are currently 7.5-point favorites. Vikings-Texans is a 54.5 over-under. Texans are 4-point favorites. Saints-Lions is 54 over-under as well. The Saints are 4-point favorites. Steelers, Titans are 47 over under. Steelers are 1.5-point favorites. Seahawks, Dolphins 54.5 over under. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Giants, Rams 47 over under. The Rams are 13-point favorites. And finally, Bills, Raiders 52.5 over under. The Bills are 3-point favorites, and they do not have the over under out yet for the Patriots and the Chiefs. So as always, we'll start with quarterback. I'll mention plays that I'm interested in cash for GPPs, and then we'll go running back, wide receiver, tight end. So at the top, quarterback, Lamar Jackson is a guy that I think is still playable in both formats for the reason of his floor super high with him and his rushing ability. The concern here is just that they get off to an early lead, and then maybe he doesn't have to do as much, right? Because Washington has kind of struggled recently, so. That's the worry, but Lamar Jackson, I have no issue with him if you get to him. I think he is playable in both formats because he is, again, kind of a running back and a quarterback combined. Russell Wilson at 7-8, so has been absolutely phenomenal. 34, 34, and 39 fantasy points the first 3 weeks of the season. My concern here is kind of the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Does Miami score enough for Seattle to have to air it out, right? Because I'm worried that Seattle gets off to an early lead here, and then they pound the rock. So that's a slight concern with Russell Wilson, but he's been absolutely amazing. Another guy I think is playable in both formats. Normally, throughout my years of playing NFL DFS, I kind of like spending down a quarterback, but I think the spend-up quarterbacks this year at least have just been, are not priced up enough. So I think both these guys at the top are playable in both formats. Patrick Mahomes, 7-4. That seems like a really, really cheap price point. Like another guy I think you can look to in both cash and GPP. Mahomes' floor is super high. His ceiling is massive. So, yeah, I do like Mahomes a good amount here at that price. Josh Allen has been absolutely phenomenal. 33, 37, and 36 fantasy points. It's a great matchup here, too, against the Raiders. Another guy that can get it done on the ground. I'm fine with Josh Allen if you want to go there. If you think he continues this level of production, I don't know if he does, but he is. I cannot deny what he's been doing this year. So, yeah, Josh Allen certainly playable for GPPs. If you want to go there in cash, I would say fringe cash ain't playable, but definitely viable. Dak Prescott at 7-2. This one, Cleveland, Dallas, so should be a good amount of points scored here. Dak Prescott 43 and 33 fantasy points the last couple of games. He's a guy that can get it done on the ground. Ran in for 3 touchdowns 2 games ago. So, yeah, Dak Prescott is definitely viable. I think he is playable in both formats, too. Like, I think all the guys at the top are certainly viable. And then Kyler Murray, 7K, going up against Carolina. I think he's my guy once again. I've played him the last couple of weeks here, and I think I'm going to play him again, to be honest. I think he looks like the best cash game quarterback right now for the price and for the matchup, for his rushing ability. Only had 29 yards on the ground last game. Doesn't worry me a whole lot. He's actually had a touchdown on the ground every single week so far. I've told you guys, I've been stressing it, target players against Carolina all year. I really, really do like Kyler Murray here. I think his upside is really high. I think his floor is high, and the matchup's great. So he's the guy right now that I think stands out the most for me at quarterback. Jared Goff at 6-7. It just feels like a little bit too much to pay for Goff. The price jumped about $1,000 after the big game. It's a good matchup, but I'm worried that the Rams do get off to a big lead. They're pretty big favorites. Deshaun Watson is another guy I like a good amount at 6-6. The matchup's great. Minnesota has really been struggling so far in the secondary. So, and Deshaun Watson has yet to really have a big game, but we know it's there from him. Another guy that can get it done on the ground. I think it's a nice buy low opportunity in a matchup like this against Minnesota. He's had some really tough matchups, right? Against Baltimore, against Pittsburgh. This is a better spot here against Minnesota. I think he does have upside. So I do like Deshaun a good amount too. I'd probably rank him right behind Kyler for me. Big Ben at 6-5. Would just rather play Deshaun. Would rather get to Kyler. Cam Newton at 6-4. Another quarterback that I think looks pretty good here just because of the potential game script here. I do not think the Patriots play from ahead in this one. I think they do play from behind. If they do play from behind, we saw that type of upside that Cam Newton has. He's a guy that can get it done on the ground, so the price is very, very fair. I like Cam Newton a good amount here at this price. Again, playable in both formats. Yeah, below Cam Newton, you have Burrow at 6-3. I'm probably going to pass. I'm probably not going to get to Tom Brady or Tannehill. Stafford at 5-9 is a playable price against the Saints. They probably are playing from behind in this one. I think he's doable in both formats. You want to go that direction. Minshew also okay at 5-9. Drew Brees. The price is really cheap on him, but he's been checking down. The matchup's great. I think Drew Brees is playable too in both formats as well. Probably not going to get to Herbert or Baker. Foles did play really, really well coming in for Trubisky. He is going to be the starting quarterback, but don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger there on him this week. Bridgewater against Arizona is a viable cheap option, but still I feel a little bit more comfortable with the spend of quarterbacks. Cousins at 5'6", again, good matchup here if you want to pair him with Thielen or Justin Jefferson, who went off, doable. But he's just a guy that always seems to be up and down, hard to kind of trust for a cash game format. Philip Rivers is going to pass. I'm not going to probably not going to get to Fitzpatrick at 5'4". I wouldn't say that. I actually think he is another cheap option that is in play here. They probably will be playing from behind. So yeah, I actually think Ryan Fitzpatrick is in play as a cheap option. And that's really it for me. I'm not going to play Derek Carr. I'm not going to play Haskins. So for quarterbacks, the guys at the top I think are definitely playable. But I think my favorite plays are probably the guys more in the mid-range. So a guy like Kyler Murray, a guy like Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton. I think I feel the most comfortable with those three right now. Now, there are cheaper options if you can't get to those guys, right? I think a guy like Stafford, Minshew, Drew Brees, even Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think those are guys that are playable. But my lean right now are the mid-range for quarterbacks. With Kyler, with Watson, with a guy like Cam Newton. So let's talk about running back here. Kamara is going to be popular even at 8K. Went absolutely crazy that last game against Green Bay. 13 catches on 14 targets. Now, my concern here with Alvin Kamara is they will still utilize Latavius Murray. And if the Saints are playing from ahead, which they probably should be against this Lions team, I think that, that does worry me this upside a little bit because he's not a guy that they're going to give the ball to 20-plus times on the ground, right? He gets his production through the air. And if they're playing from ahead, if they're leading by 2 scores, they're probably not going to pass a ton. So that is my one concern with Kamara. He's been absolutely amazing. He's going to be the chalk, and I'm perfectly fine playing him. But like I said, I gave you my worry is if the Saints do play from ahead, if they're playing from a couple touchdown lead, then I think they rely more on the ground game. I think it's more the 1-2 punch with him and Latavius. And then his upside might be a little bit capped there. So that's the one concern. But other than that, Kamara's been amazing. His floor is super high because of his pass catching ability. I don't think he gets 13 catches again, but the Saints just love giving this guy the ball, especially if Michael Thomas is out too. I think they try to utilize him even more. It's a great matchup too. So really all the positives, there's a lot of positives with Kamara. The one negative is the thing I mentioned is if they are playing from ahead, maybe a couple touchdown lead, then, is his upside. I think they will utilize Latavius Murray a bit more. So that's the one concern that I have with Kamara. Other than that, everything looks great. Zeke Elliott at 7-8, another game that should be pretty high scoring, right? So I think it was a 54 over-under. He's a guy that is game flow independent, right? He had 12 targets last week when they were playing from behind. So the floor is super, super high on Zeke. He didn't have a great day in the ground, only 14 carries for 34 yards. Doesn't worry me a whole lot. He's just a guy that's going to get a majority of the touches no matter what. 7.8 is very, very fair. I think people, if they're going to spend up a running back, they're going to go to Kamara. But don't rule out Zeke Elliott. I think you can play both if you want to. I think there is enough value to play both those sped up running backs if that's the direction you want to go. Dalvin Cook at 7-6, another guy I think will be pretty popular, and I think he looks good as well. I was worried, is this Minnesota Vikings offense going to get it together? Well, they did finally bounce back. Everyone kind of did. Cook had a huge day, 22 carries, 181 yards. He had 5 targets, which was good to see. This is a really good matchup, too, against Houston. So Dalvin Cook, another spend-up running back that I think looks really, really solid here, playable in both formats. Derrick Henry at 7-4 did have 2 touchdowns. He's a guy that my concern with him is doesn't get utilized a whole lot through the air, but he is a workhorse back rate, 31, 25, and 26 carries on the ground. So, yeah, all these spend-up running backs I think look pretty solid this week with Kamara, with Zeke, with Dalvin Cook, with Derrick Henry. Now, Austin Eckler, I mentioned, I told you guys I really, really wanted to play him, but couldn't pull the trigger. He had 11 catches on 11 targets. The upside just goes way up with Justin Herbert playing quarterback because he's just going to dump it down more to a guy like Austin Eckler, who's a great pass-catching running back. So price didn't move a whole lot. The matchup isn't great against Tampa Bay, But I think Eckler is playable here. Now, I think he's more suited for a GPP play just because Josh Kelly's still going to be involved in this offense. But the upside is there with Austin Eckler. Nick Chubb, another guy more suited for GPPs for me just because it's him, it's Kareem Hunt. Did have 2 touchdowns on the ground. He's not going to utilize basically at all through the air, which does worry me. And if they do fall behind in this one, they will kind of phase him out. So him and Hunt are both playable more for GPPs. Now, James Conner at 6'9", had a pretty solid day, 18 carries for over 100 yards, 4 catches and 5 targets. Pittsburgh, they do like targeting their running backs out of the backfield. Big Ben will dump it down. He did get a majority of the touches. 6'9" is a very, very fair price. My one worry with James Conner is just his injury history. He always seems a guy that seems to be banged up. But I think James Conner is another guy in the mid-range for running back. I think looks pretty good. Now, Josh Jacobs going up against the Buffalo team. Probably not going to get to. The good things with him is just that his 4, 3, and 3 catches the last 3 games. Like he's getting involved more in the passing game. 6'8" is a fair price, but I'm not super excited about playing people against this Buffalo defense. Let's see. Jonathan Taylor at 6'6". So yeah, Jonathan Taylor didn't get as many touches as I expected. The matchup's not great here against Chicago either, so I'm probably not going to get there. Robinson was absolutely amazing last week against Miami. Had 6 catches and 6 targets. Had 2 touchdowns on the ground. The matchup's okay here against the Bengals, but 6'5". I don't know if he has that type of game again. So another guy that's playable in the mid-range, but I'm not overly excited about him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is at a very, very fair price. I'm interested to see what his workload is tonight, but he is their number 1 back. He probably gets 60 to 70% of the touches. And, a starting running back for the Chiefs is always a viable play in DraftKings. So definitely considering CEH as well. Carson, this is a piece of injury news we have to keep an eye on. Dealing with that was a knee sprain. So if he can't go, that could open up some potential value. If he does play, I think he makes for a nice play in the mid-range with Seattle. Should be playing from ahead in this one. But if he is out, potential value there. Now Hunt, again, him and Chubb are just more suited for GPPs because it's split down the middle there with their work. If you think the Browns fall behind, I think Hunt is probably the guy you want to look to. Drake was a little bit disappointing last week, but the touches, he was solid, right? 18 carries, 73 yards. Only 1 catch and 1 target. I think those targets will go up on him. It's a great matchup too against Carolina. The price is super fair. So I still have interest in Kenyon Drake. I think people will jump off of him, but I think we have a big game coming from him soon. Maybe it's here in a great matchup against Carolina. So I do have interest in Drake once again. Singletary, this is dependent on Moss. If Moss is, where's Zach Moss? If Moss is out, let's see. So that was for the game against the Rams. If he's out, then that makes Singletary a pretty decent play here. Who got majority of the snaps? I think he got over 80% or 90% of the snaps. Where Singletary 5.9K. It's a good matchup here too. So yeah, if Moss is out, I think you can feel pretty comfortable going to Singletary even with the price jump. The targets have been there, 7, 3, and 5 targets. I got a good matchup. The concern is Allen will keep himself a decent amount, but he was the guy that played a majority of the snaps. So if Moss is out again, I think he does get most of the workload. So Singletary kind of dependent there on Moss. I'm mixing him in a pass in a 5-8. I'm not getting to Henderson. Mike Davis with no Christian McCaffrey. Another 8-catch game on 9 targets. This is probably a game they should be playing from behind in. He got a majority of the work here. 5.7K. The price to go up a bit, but another cheaper running back I think is certainly in play. There is a lot of ways you can go running back this week. I think the ownership will be pretty spread out, whereas the last couple weeks it's been, 2 or 3 guys have been really chalky. I'm not getting to the Baltimore running backs. I'm not going to deal with that Tampa Bay running back situation. David Johnson's at 5'6", another guy that is playable here, especially if Duke Johnson's out. He should get a majority of the work. It's a good match here against Minnesota. Again, he hasn't really been great as far as a yards per carry guy, but if Duke Johnson's out again, I think he does get a majority of the work. Good matchup. So Johnson's playable. Let's see. Montgomery of No Tariq Cohen. I think it is a boost to him. I think he does get some more work here. The matchup's fair. So another guy that I don't know if I'll go pull the trigger on him in cash, but it is playable. Does get a boost there with No Tariq Cohen. Hyde at 5'3". Yeah, the issue with is even if Carson's out, we're not really getting a good discount here on Carlos Hyde. So you could go there, but I'm probably not going to do it. James White, if he's out again, we could look to Rex Burkhead, who I mentioned for value last week. Let's see, Myles Gaskin at 5K. He got a majority of the work there for Miami. 22 carries last week, 5 catches and 5 targets. A good PPR back as well. So, yeah, guys, there is a lot of different ways you can go. I think there's a lot of options, both on the top end and cheap options for running backs. I'm not going to consider the Giants running backs. Again, Burkhead, only if James White's out. If he's out, I think Rex Burkhead would make for a decent value play. But I think ownership will be way up after that, 3-touchdown game. But he's just a good pass-catching back, and they will dump it down to him a bunch, especially if they are playing from behind. So if James White's out, I think you can certainly look to Rex Burkhead here for value at 4.8K. Gibson at 4.5. Yeah, I don't really want to play him against Baltimore. Again, he has been Washington's best running back. I'm not super excited about that. And I think that's really it for running back for me. So let's move on to wide receiver, kind of who I'm looking at. So Hopkins at the top, you can't go wrong. And I told you guys I'm kind of leaning towards playing Kyler Murray once again. 16, 9, and 12 targets, an absolutely great match against Carolina. So really do like DeAndre Hopkins if you can get to him, 8.5K. You are going to have to pay a premium, but I have no issue if you can get to him. Michael Thomas, currently dealing with the ankle injury. We'll see if he is playing. It's not going to be if he is going to play and not going to be limited. I think that price looks really good, especially in this matchup here against Detroit. Lockett's price way up. My concern, kind of same with Russell Wilson, is can Miami score enough points for them to keep it competitive? Let's see. Hill's always in play for the big play upside. Again, Metcalf, Lockett, where the targets are going for Seattle. Let's see. Other options. Allen Robinson finally in the big game. I mentioned him. I mentioned Keenan Allen, kind of in the mid-6K range last week. Both those guys went absolutely off. 10 catches, 13 targets there on Allen Robinson. Let's see. Cooper at 6.7. All the Dallas receivers are once again in play in a game that should be played at a fast pace. There should be a ton of points scored. So no issue with Cooper, Gallup, or CeeDee Lamb. I think all three are playable here. Cooper Kupp, the floor is high because he's a guy that's usually going to get you a ton of catches. 5, 6, and 10 targets. Had a big game last week. My concern is just can the Giants score enough points so the Rams have to throw it a ton. Adam Thielen's at a very fair price here at 6.6. I know Justin Jefferson went crazy, but Thielen is still their number one guy. Good matchup against Houston defense that is not great. So, yeah, I think Thielen is a pretty good play here in the mid-range. Definitely someone I would consider for both cash and GPP. Keenan Allen, another guy I talked about really liking, 13 catches on 19 targets last week. You just want to target players against that Carolina defense. Now, this is a tougher spot against Tampa Bay's defense, but if Herbert's quarterback again, I think that's a big boost to Allen, a big boost to Austin Eckler. Godwin currently dealing with a hamstring injury. Got to keep an eye on this. If he's out, Mike Evans becomes a lot more playable, even in a tougher spot. We'll also make some potential value with probably a guy like Scotty Miller. Let's see. Again, Dallas receivers, all of them are playable. Tyler Boyd, I think, is going to be popular this week. A guy that had 8 and 13 targets the last few weeks. The matchup's pretty good here. The floor is, I think, pretty high in him. Again, he's going to be popular, but I have no issue with Tyler Boyd at this price. I think he's a pretty safe play. Kenny Galladay, I do like at 6K. A game they probably shouldn't be playing from behind in. My issue was, is he going to get a full workload? Well, he did. 6 catches, 7 targets. 6K seems pretty cheap for Galladay, so I do like him a good amount there in the mid-range. Fuller, if you want to pair him with Watson, I have no issue with that. He's got the big play upside. Besides that donut game in between there in game 2, he's been solid, right? 22 and 15 fantasy points for Will Fuller. The price is very fair, so another guy that I do kind of like here in the mid-range. Let's see, other options that I'm kind of considering. I think Edelman looks really solid here at 5.7. I think he's a nice pairing with Cam Newton. Should be good game script, right? They should be playing from behind. I'm not worried about the last game. They were playing from ahead. They didn't really pass a whole lot in the second half. Again, doesn't worry me. If they do fall behind in this one, which I think they do, it's great game script for both Cam and Julian Edelman. I like that pairing a lot. So Edelman's definitely one of my favorite plays here of the day at that price. Deontay Johnson currently dealing with a concussion. Got to keep an eye on that. If he's out, could open up some potential there for Pittsburgh. Kind of the same thing with AJ Green. Or not AJ Green, AJ Brown, I should say. AJ Green, the price is cheap. The targets have been there, 9, 13, 6 targets. Hasn't really had a big game yet. If you want to buy low in AJ Green, I'm fine with it. Talk about all the Dallas receivers, right? CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Gallup. All three, I think, look pretty good here. CeeDee Lamb's price didn't really move. 5.4K is a very fair price. Justin Jefferson had the big game. The price also jumped big time, right from 4.2 to 5.2. The matchup's good, but I would feel a little bit more comfortable paying an extra, $1,400 for Adam Thielen. Jarvis, at 5-1 in a game they probably should be playing behind in against Dallas. Dallas plays fast, a high over-under. I think he's actually an okay play here. Hasn't really had a huge game yet, but the price and the matchup, I think, makes Jarvis Landry a pretty nice play there in the mid-range. Other options here, let's see, don't mind Marvin Jones Jr. at 4-9. If you can't get to Galladay and you want one of the Detroit receivers, I'm fine with Marvin Jones Jr. Sanders, you can at least consider him if Michael Thomas is out. But like I said, Drew Brees has been checking it down a lot there. That's the worry with those Saints receivers. Golden Tate at 4-6, I think he looks okay here. The Giants are huge underdogs, should be good game script. They should be playing from behind. 5 and 7 targets. I think for a value, I think he makes for a nice cheap option. So I'm definitely considering Golden Tate here. Renfro, if both Ruggs and Bryan Edwards are out, I think he makes for a decent play at 6 catches and 9 targets. Now, they were playing from behind. If they are playing from ahead, then maybe it's more the running game. So that's a worry with Renfro. I don't know if his role changes a whole lot, too, with if either or both those guys are out, because he's a guy that's going to be playing out of the slot. Would maybe make guys like Zay Jones or Aguilar potential value, but we'll talk about that more in my final look video once we get more of the injuries for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, who's sitting out and whatnot. Let's see other options here. Don't mind Keelan Cole. I think it's a playable price there at 4 or 5. Decent matchup. Definitely someone you can look to for cheap value. Larry Fitzgerald had a bad day last Sunday, but like I said, I do want to target players against this Carolina defense. I think he bounces back here. 4.4 is a nice price. So Fitzgerald, I know he's getting up there in age, but I think he's definitely someone you can at least consider. Scotty Miller, if Godwin's out, I think that would be a nice boost to him. So he could be potential value. Like Adam Humphries, if A.J. Brown continues to be out, he's been solid, 7, 6, and 7 targets. I think you could look to him for value for sure. Claypool, if Deontay Johnson is out, the rookie has been solid when he's been out there. I think he is another potential value if Johnson is out. N'Keal Harry, I like the price in him. In a game the Patriots should be playing from behind. I like the prices a lot of these New England receivers with Harry Edelman and even Damari Bird, who we'll get to in a sec. Yeah, Aguilar, right, him, Zay Jones, potential value here if both those Raiders receivers are out. Even in a bad spot, I think they would be solid value. Yeah, then lastly, again, I mentioned Damari Bird. He's at the flat mid once again. I played him last week. Wouldn't mind going back there. 3K. He played on 66 of 69 offensive snaps. He basically played the entire game. This is a game the Patriots should be playing behind in. So right now, like the prices on the New England Patriots look really good with Cam Newton, with Burkhead, if James White is out, and with the receivers. I think this is a game they do play from behind, and I just like the price in all of them right now. So let's move on to tight end. Tight end, we have Kelsey at the top. No real issue there if you want to spend up for him, but usually for like a cash game setting, I'm looking to spend down. Mark Andrews always has upside. No issue with him either. Higbee, I'm probably going to pass on. Cook dealing with the injury. Got to keep an eye on that. Could be some potential value there. Waller had a bad week last week. Not super concerned about it. He is their clear number 1 target. Gesicki, Smith, Hawkinson, all in the 5K range are fine. Evan Ingram at 4-4. I actually kind of like him. I like both him and Golden Tate here, just for the reason of it should be good game script, right? The Giants, they should have to throw a ton. They should be playing from behind. 7, 8, and 5 targets. We haven't really seen a big game yet from him, but I do like both these cheap players for the Giants with Ingram and with Golden Tate. Let's see, Dalton Schultz at 4-3. Another solid day, right? 4 catches, 6 targets. This Dallas offense, they just want to play fast. So I think Schultz is a decent value. Other options here, like Gronk finally had a nice week there. 6 catches and 7 targets. Don't know if I'm super confident in that one, though. Logan Thomas, I'm still fine with. I know the matchup's not amazing, but the targets have been there from, right? 8, 9, and 7 targets. That's what I like to see out of a tight end this cheap. So I know, only 13, 6, and 7 fantasy points. He doesn't have to do a whole lot to get you there, though. And he's just the safety with his target. So I'm considering Logan Thomas once again as a cheap option. Don't mind Eifert at 3-5 against Cincinnati. I think that's doable. Revenge game narrative if you're into that. But that's really it for me. So let's now move on. Or defense, I guess we'll talk about more in my final look video. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. So if you haven't enjoyed the content so far, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. I will be live streaming before week 4 slate, probably at least an hour before lock, maybe even an hour and a half before lock, so I will let you guys know on that. Thanks again, guys. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you all later.